Hi everybody, my name is Liz Marsland. I am a personal trainer, a massage therapist, a yoga teacher, and I help companies with posture relief and ergonomic seminars to help their staff feel healthier and happier. So that's just simple breathing and stretching techniques that people can use to help their own posture at work and feel more clear-headed and just more energized all day. Today I would like to take you through some of my key stretches that I think can help athletes, people that are sedentary, people that have vulnerable backs or hips or shoulders, and just teach you a little bit about some common issues and give some good stretches and strength exercises for those. Okay, so we are going to start with the neck because we spoke about the neck at the posture presentation as well. So remember the chin poke that I spoke about. So when you poke your chin forwards, your neck muscles here are taking an awful lot of weight. So we're going to tuck the chin back in. Imagine that you've got a piece of string at the top of your head and pull that like you would in a yoga class, for instance. And then immediately you should feel that relief in the neck. So we'll start with the neck. Always breathe in as you get ready, and then exhale slowly as you take the neck over to the one side. So we're going to stretch the neck in this way and hold for several seconds as you go down. Don't rush it like I am. I just want to demonstrate. You will take a long exhale for each stretch that you do in each angle, and you will start to feel much better simply after stretching out the neck. You can feel that your shoulders start to relax, your whole body just reduces the stress, and the breathing really helps that as well. So always use breathing with stretching. That's a good tip of the day. We looked at pectoral stretching in my last video as well, so I'm going to show you a more interactive stretch for that. So you can take something close by. Don't have your arm up because it's going to affect the trap. So just take the wall or a side and preferably standing, twisting into this muscle slightly. So we're lengthening the chest here and helping the shoulder joint relax so that we get more space in our chest, and the muscles, this means that the back of the shoulder can start to work better. If this muscles are always tight and we're falling forwards, for instance cyclists and desk workers, these muscles are always in a lengthened position and they get slightly weaker like that. We want them to sit a bit shorter so they can be strong and hold that shoulder girdle better. What we don't want is a very tight upper back, and we often get tight shoulders here and then a tight upper back as well. So it's really important to mobilize the upper back, so the thoracic region, let's call it the T-spine area. So I'll show you a good stretch to start mobilizing the upper back. When the upper back is looser, it means that the lower back doesn't take so much strain. When it's very tight at the top, it means that when we move around, the lower back is having to take a lot more of the movement, so it can be vulnerable. And if the glutes and the deep core aren't very strong, as is often the case, this causes a bit of a triangle reaction. So the glutes aren't holding on very well, the deep core isn't holding on very well, so the spine actually ends up taking quite a lot of strain, which we don't necessarily want. So here's a thoracic stretch. So come onto your hands and knees, and then we're going to thread the one arm through. Let the head reach to the side. I'll move back slightly, hopefully see more. So thread through and just let your head find a nice space on the side. Just this stretch for me, I can feel it already stretching the back of the shoulders and the neck. So you can hold here, and then you can open this top arm if you feel like you've got good balance. Otherwise, to make it dynamic, we're just going to twist up again and just open that arm. I can feel it stretching around the lower back and the hips. You don't want to force it. We're going 10 times each side, and this helps to mobilize the upper back and the lower back, and also strengthen the shoulder. So there's always a use for these dynamic full body stretches, I think. This one is a yoga pose as well. I like to use some yoga poses and make them a bit more dynamic sometimes, so that they can be more applicable to stretches that athletes might use on a more daily basis instead of just in their yoga flow. Do that other side. You can do 10 each side. I'm just going to do a few here to demonstrate. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so now I feel much looser in the upper back. I've got blood flow going through. My hips and my lower back have also started to mobilise, and that's good too. Okay, so another one that I think could be seen well on the screen. You've got to think about what would look decent on the video is the pigeon. So pop your knee on its side and the foot, say a 45-degree angle here. The key is to this one is lengthening the back leg and then trying to get the hip bones both facing downward. Okay, so a lot of people just come onto the side there and they can get super low. Try and get the hip bones facing down and then see how far you can go. If they start twisting, that means your body's reached its limit. So you don't need to go super low. For me, this is working wonders on my left side. I can feel it in my left hip, into my groin, my lower back. My shoulders are backing down as I'm holding this pose. And again, you can just let the body get deeper with your breath. So take a deep breath. And if you prefer to breathe through your nose, that's absolutely fine. I think the oxygen exchange, the gas exchange is actually better through the nose overall. And if you feel like you want to get deeper after a few seconds, definitely do. Nice one to do with this is to stretch the lats, so down the side of the body. So you can put your hand into the floor, grab the floor, and just get a good lat stretch as well. Great. Start to feel it, you feel your body, start to explore and feel where the tight bits are. It's really good for you to know where those bits are in your own body. I feel very tight in my groin here as well. So that's useful for me to know. So I'll go for the other side. Knee on the side, back leg lengthening back. And this side's much better for me. I can go straight down. Alright, so I suggest that you stay in these poses for at least 30 seconds, preferably 90 minute if you're in a big rush. Okay, so we're thinking about this area of our hips again. There's been a few stretches that we've looked at recently. And this one I would like to show you first. So we're going to come into a lunging position. And then what I'm doing is I'm just testing this hip flexor muscle into the groin as well. So usually I would say tuck under and just do small movements here. Today I would like you to take your foot a little bit further forwards and just see how low it still feels comfortable to go down. Okay, so you can come down and up. And again, don't force it, it's warming it up, it's getting some oxygen flow. And we can just start to warm up the muscles and just see how far it wants to go. Take the foot out further to the side and see if you can get into the groin. Okay, these are really helpful because they're quite neglected areas, I would say, but it's worth spending some time on them, especially if you are an athlete. You don't want to be suddenly putting a lot of power and force through those joints, and that muscle is very, very tight. Okay, so you can do about 15 or so there. Another one I'd like to show you. It's a little bit complicated, but it gets very good reviews. So I'm going to lean into my right side, so this is this side, and it's a mixture of tension and relaxing. So all my weight is going to be on this knee, on the knee right under the top of the femur, top of the hip bone, and I'm going to lean into that hip like you would lean into a hip standing around in the road or something. You just tend to lean on the one side. So try and take all the weight. Imagine you're trying to poke the bone into the side of the hip there. I'm going to take the other foot behind because that's going to balance me. Okay, so leaning into that hip, taking the other foot behind. With my arm, I'm going to help guide and just lean straight across. So now this hip is completely stretching and the glutes are feeling good. Arms are doing a bit of work, obviously. Good, and if you don't quite get it the first time, obviously you can try again. So again, choose your leg, lean the whole weight into it, hike your hip, hitch the hip to the side, take the other leg behind in a straight position, because you're just going to help guide the weight into that bone, into that hip, and until you get a nice stretch sideways. Okay, let's do the other side. So I'm leaning now to my left. I'm going to hitch that hip, take the leg behind, and give it a good stretch. Not the most entertaining of videos, but hopefully you can do it along and get some idea of how your body feels afterwards, and it gives you a good starting point. Okay, so the glutes and the hips are very important areas to take care of. If they're tight and the pelvis is a bit restricted, that's where we get issues of lower back pain and hip pain. So next time we'll talk about some strengthening exercises specifically for those areas. I'm just going to show you one more exercise now that I really, really like. And this is taking your foot into top of the knee here. So we've got the zigzag with our legs. Zigzag here. So one thing I can do is turn over that front knee and just lean forward, see how that feels. Okay, I can definitely feel a good stretch this side. And to flip over, we're just going to bring the knees up and should go to exactly the same position on the other side. So still getting that zigzag position, hands to the side, lean straight over, also feels good. To make this dynamic and a little bit more active and to open the hips as well, we can turn again, flip it over, and then just come up. Feels strange at first, but we're now getting a nice stretch through here. Down, flip it over, and just lean up. And try and push your hips forwards so you get a nice stretch here. Down, flip it over, and up onto our knees. You can do about 10 of these. Gives you a really good idea of your range of motion in your hips and how things are feeling. And another way to just test the internal rotation of the hip is just to sit wide feet and drop the knee in. Again, you'll be able to feel a difference between your sides. You get an idea of how flexible you are and how much work you need to do. Like I said, next time we'll talk about some strengthening exercises to really help you protect your body and prevent injury. But I hope this really helps and look forward to seeing you soon.